Good evening, everybody. The time is 6:47, and I'm first calling to order a public hearing. Sorry, the February 15, 2023, and I'm calling to order a public hearing. First is a hearing ordinance of the Borough of Westchester, Chester County, Pennsylvania, amending Chapter 112 titled Zoning to exempt from regulation all signs erected, altered, rebuilt, enlarged, extended, relocated, or maintained by the borough within the borough or authorized by the borough to be erected, altered, rebuilt, enlarged, extended, relocated, or maintained on buildings used for municipal use within the borough, all in accordance with the code of the Borough of Westchester and the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code. Ms. Camp, are you taking this? Yeah.
As it's a zoning ordinance amendment, there are certain procedures that have to be followed before you can adopt an amendment. And I just want to go through some exhibits that will be in the minutes to reflect that we followed the appropriate procedures for you to consider the zoning amendment. The first is a proof of publication. Tonight's hearing was advertised in the Daily Local News on January 31st and February 7th of 2023. We also sent a copy of the ordinance for public inspection to the Daily Local News and to the Chester County Law Library. We sent that through an email on January 23rd, 2023. The Chester County Planning Commission had to receive a copy of this ordinance, and they did 30 days prior and sent you a review letter on January 17th, 2023. The Chester County Planning Commission's recommendation is they support the adoption of the amendment. And the last exhibit is your own Planning Commission had to also consider this and give you a recommendation. And we have correspondence from Jason Burrell, the chair of the Planning Commission, dated February 9th, 2023, indicating that on January 31st, the Planning Commission reviewed the ordinance and recommends that council approve it as written. This amendment is a very narrow amendment. It changes and adds one sentence to your sign regulations in 112-702, and it exempts from all of the regulations in the sign provisions or signs that would be on borough signs, basically, signs that you allow to be on your own property or give somebody else the opportunity to use your property. And the genesis of this was the bid wanting to lease the spaces at the Chestnut Street garage. So when we were working on that lease agreement, we recognized that the types of signs that they would be putting there wouldn't meet your sign regulations. So to allow you to do that, we suggested that this section be revised.
Great, thank you. Is there any comments from the council on this? Anybody from the public? There's nobody here, but okay, I have to offer it. Okay. Okay. In that case, it sounds like we're in order to have a motion to accept this ordinance as presented.
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Flynn moved
Second.
and seconded by Mr. McGinnis. Sounds good. Any further discussion? Okay. Mr. Metrick, would you please call the question?
Mr. Flynn?
Yes.
Ms. Vaccaro?
Yes.
Mr. McGinnis? Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. McCoy? Ms. Dorsey?
Yes.
And Mr. Stefano?
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. Okay. I'm closing that hearing and I'm moving on to our second hearing of the night, which is an ordinance of the Borough of Westchester, Chester County, Pennsylvania, amending the code of the Borough of Westchester, Chapter 104, titled Vehicles and Traffic, Section 104-45, to add a handicap parking space on the north side of East Minor Street at 501 East Minor Street, the west side of South Penn Street at 712 South Penn Street, and the south side of West Minor Street at 120 West Minor Street, and to remove handicap parking spaces at 428 West Chestnut Street, 703 South Adams Street, and 349 East Biddle Street.
This hearing has to be advertised. This one, because it's not zoning, it only requires a 1-week advertisement. So we did advertise tonight's hearing in the Daily Local on February 7th, 2023. And we also sent a copy of the ordinance for public inspection to the Law Library and to the Daily Local. We did that through an email on January 26, 2023. So these are all regulations that your parking committee recommended and that council has already approved. We have to put them into an ordinance format for them to be properly enforced. So the summary of the title of the ordinance tells you exactly where we're adding and removing handicap parking spots.
Okay. Any comments or questions from council on this? Public? Okay. Sounds like we are accepting this. A motion to accept this ordinance as presented is in order.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Ms. Dorsey,
Seconded.
second by Mr. Caro. We have a motion and seconded to approve this ordinance as presented. Mr. Metric, would you please call the question?
Mr. Flynn,
Yes.
Ms. Vaccaro,
Yes.
Mr. McGinnis,
Yes.
Mr. Allen, Mr. McCoy,
Yes.
Ms. Dorsey, and Mr. Stefano.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Thank you. I'm now closing that hearing.